What is up, everybody? It is your boy Magic Mike Drop, and we are here with episode 31. This episode's kind of cool because it's my first collab video. We're going to be collabing with Bigle Travels. I hope I'm saying that right. He got us a private tour at the Brevard County Zoo. So that should be interesting. I mean, I love animals anyway, and get a private tour and hopefully get to pet some animals. Who knows? I've never done it before. But yeah, this is my first YouTube collab video with Bigle Travels, so let's do it. All right, about to arrive at the Brevard Zoo. All right, made it to the zoo, and now we are meeting up with Bigle Travels and the front entrance. All right, we have met up with Bigle Travels. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, cool. All right, we're here to do this, so let's do this.
Let's do this.
All right, we are in, and I have discovered a monkey. Not a real monkey, but a monkey. All right, we're a bit early for our tour, so we're gonna go feed some birds. Oh my god. Hey. Feeding some birds.
I'm not getting that anymore.
I know the feeling. Get it on.
Oh, good.
I guess I just adopted these two. I felt like he was mad at me. Is it all gone? Is it all gone? I don't know if I should keep moving. If I find some other ones, or these are the ones. Alright. I've named them Pete and Pete. This is Pete, and then that's Pete. Pete and Pete. They're my homies. So as I walk through, it's still just these two. Just these two. They clicked up right away. My homies, Pete and Pete. Bigle Travels got some birds going on over there. Yeah, this is fun. Still me, Pete and Pete. Pete and Pete. They crap a lot. Fun fact. Pete and Pete have finally left me. I'm sad now. You want some? Nope. I got you, bro. You ain't even got to jump. There you go. There you go. Num nums.
I know.
What are you doing over here? Bird feeding has completed. We have made some birds happy today. So, yeah. Here we have a horny pig. Alright, Bigle Travels is getting a drink. And then off to the private tour. Oh, you didn't get like a rum and coke or You don't want to go like...
I've done day drinking around here. It's fun. It's expensive.
Oh, anywhere. Anything that's like a theme park, it's mad expensive. Now we're waiting for our tour guide. Where's our tour guide? All right, we're here with our tour guide, Alec.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. We're gonna have a great time out here at the Brevard Zoo today.
He's gonna educate us on some animals.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's do it.
We have two crocs here. We got Miss Lily right over there, sunbasking right now. So crocodiles are gonna be, this is going to be the only area in the whole world where both crocodiles and alligators are going to live in the same habitat. So basically not so much here, Central Florida, but once you get a little bit further south into like Brevard County, that kind of area, the Everglades, is where these guys are going to share a habitat, and it is fairly interesting. I don't know, you guys are both social media guys, so I don't know if you guys saw the video. It was about 2 weeks ago. There was a video of a fight between an alligator and a crocodile. I saw that. You see that?
Really?
Yeah, because it went pretty viral, and it's one of those things where people don't realize that, yeah, these guys live together, and also, oh, there you go. Nice big yawn. So.
He's like, I'm on YouTube.
Showing them teeth.
Yeah.
But the American crocodiles have been spotted in Brevard, right?
So we have occasionally ones that will travel a little bit farther north, but there's no permanent residents over here. It drops a little too cool for their liking. They're typically going to be a lot more tropical of a species, while alligators have a range that goes up. Something dropped in the water right over here.
Oh, really?
Sense the vibrations, and is going to come over and check it out probably.
Nice.
So, like I said, we have a male and a female. That's Lily. Gollum is over there on the other side. He is much larger. The males are going to be larger for both alligators and crocodiles. And these guys have been here, specifically our crocodiles, since the zoo opened. So they are at least 30 years old, but we don't know the exact age when they were born. So we're guesstimating some around in their 60s right now. So these guys typically like to hang out on the side. So I got one over here in this back corner up on top, and then if you look from that side, there's one right up over here on the top of that branch. They're going to be bright yellow. I know that this glass isn't the best for recording
It's
with.
not.
And wait there for a bird to fly by, and then they have some incredibly sharp teeth and are very fast, and will basically snatch that bird right out of the sky and pull it in to constrict it. He's in here. So we have three sisters, and they came to us from the Bronx up in New York. So, you know, they have a bit of an accent when they ask for water. But
I like that. I need some water.
Water.
I need some water. Some water.
They're like, wait, what? You guys are from New York? I don't know about that one.
Yeah. He's like, I'm local.
Yeah, but like I said, these are three sisters. They have been in a few different habitats. This is, like I said, our kind of rotating habitat. We sometimes will have our coatis in here. Sometimes we'll have our howler monkeys in here. Right now we just have our capuchins in here. But like as I mentioned before, everything is connected in the rainforest, not just in a metaphorical sense, but also in a physical sense. So if you guys look up, all these different walkways connect to different habitats across this loop. And depending on our keepers and what they want to do, they're going to be able to give them access to travel along these catwalks to different habitats around the rainforest, which is, again, as I mentioned before, really important for us because we want to give our animals as much choice and control as possible in their lives. And again, not just a choice to do something, but a meaningful choice, because, you know, if I gave you guys like a choice between eating, you know, I don't know, French fries with salt or not salt, that's not too much of a choice, but, you know, actually giving you a choice to make your own dinner and pick what you want to eat, that is a meaningful choice. And that's the same thing that we do with our animals. We really try to put as much time and effort as possible into their care so that they can live the happiest lives possible here.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. One jaguar. So we got Miss Masaya. She's right up there. If you look right up on that platform, you can see her head. She's taking a nice little nap right now. We will stop back on our way out of here and see if she moves at all. Because she is fairly active, especially in the mornings, especially when it's nice and cool like this. It looks like she's having a bit of a dream right now. She's waking up a little bit. But she is our female jaguar. Right now we only have one, like I mentioned before, but we are in the works of getting two more. So a breeding male and a breeding female. She is what is considered a geriatric cat. So she is quite old. She's outside of her ability to have kittens anymore. So she's gonna live out the rest of her life here at the zoo. But then, like I mentioned, we're also gonna have 2 more jaguars joining us here, and eventually having babies. She was a very successful mom and had around, I believe, about 12 to 16 kittens that are now outside different zoos. She's part of what's called an SSP, or a species survival plan. So we at zoos don't just breed animals to breed animals and have more of them. We do that for very specific reasons, and a lot of our animals actually do not breed at all. And we'll talk a little bit more about a fun story with that as we get over towards the other side of the loop. But being part of the SSP, she is basically, how it works at a zoo is kind of funny. It's basically kind of like Tinder, but for animals. So basically we have a whole employee's job. It's our animal registrar. He's looking at all these different animals all over the country, all over the world, and he's trying to look at the personality traits that are basically, as a zookeeper, they write, you know, what their animal is like, but also the genetic side of things. So they have to match up a personality that they think would be a good fit, but also a viable genetics, that we're getting offspring that is genetically diverse enough where they're not going to have any kind of, you know, those inbreeding or, you know, genetic bottlenecks. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's always a very amazing thing to be able to be in a facility that has animals like this under an SSP, being able to have babies and all the cuteness that goes along with that. Rotating habitat. We typically have been having our howler monkey males in here, but I believe they might be either in the back right there, so they have a night house back over there. But they also have, again, that tunnel that connects over to what we call our flooded forest, and that allows, again, like I said, the keepers to determine who's in here and at what times. So clearly no one is in here right now. So they're probably over in our AC. They were just younger males that were, you know, born here around a year or 2 years ago and getting into that mature era of their lives and had some, you know, growing up to do a little bit. So kind of kept them a little separated out so that they could do their thing over here. But I believe they're probably starting to be reintroduced back. In here, I'm a big plant guy myself, so I like all the different, we do take a lot of time to do, our botanical team to do a lot of research in terms of the different plants in the area that we're trying to represent, and planting it in a very unique and immersive way. So to me, it always feels like we are walking through, you know, the jungle. There's trees everywhere, big old tropical plants all over the place, and it really makes us feel like we are in a rainforest. So we got a cute little friend over here, if you look right over there. That is going to be our most recently born spider monkey in her mom's lap. Born about 2 months ago, 3 months ago now. So still very, very young. It looks like they're doing a bit of a training session with one of our zookeepers right over there. Basically all the animals here, a lot of people think, oh yeah, we train the animals, do tricks and stuff like that. No, all the animals do their training here for basically the specific purpose of their own personal care. So everything that they are getting trained to do in terms of like the different actions that we're asking them to do is all so that we can give them basically health care and provide them with any kind of needs that they may have. So we have over here, I don't see him right now, we have a couple different interesting spider monkey stories. So we have 4 spider monkeys in here that were actually part of the illegal pet trade. So basically they were brought over illegally from South America, where basically how it works is that parents are typically going to be killed, and with them, as you can see with the young baby down over there, the baby is going to hold on to their moms basically at all times. So once the parent is no longer with us, they're going to snatch the baby, and especially at that small size is what they want, so it makes it easier for them to smuggle it across the border. So we have Finn and Marceline, and then Jay and Mateo. Jay and Mateo were one found in the center console of a car crossing the border. The other one is stuffed inside of a suitcase. And then Finn and Marceline were brought over illegally. Don't know exactly how, but they became a bit of a legal limbo situation because the person who bought them was trying to fight and keep them. But being a facility here where we have a troop of spider monkeys, we basically are FWC's first choice whenever a specific kind of animal is found. Basically, if any kind of confiscated animal ends up over here in the States, they are going to look at rehabilitation facilities and then also accredited zoos that have those animals in there so that they can provide that level of care, because especially when they're babies like that, you can't just send them back over to the forest and be like, good luck, have fun. because they don't know how to be a monkey. And especially very social and intelligent animals like this, they have to learn a lot of things from their troops, and if they don't learn those things, they're not going to be able to survive. This is the immersion of
learning. We learning.
Down, it feels like you're there with them. So this is called our RAC, our Rainforest Ambassador Complex. Doesn't seem like there's much going on in here, but there actually is. So over here on our right hand side, we have our shoulder hawk, who doesn't look like she's in here right now, so I may be fibbing a bit.
Telling you, they know I'm coming. They all hide.
Oh no, there she is. Hey Jez.
Oh.
So that's Jezebel. She is our red-shouldered hawk, like I just mentioned. She is currently in the middle of her nesting season, so she may be, that's what she may have been doing up there. But she, like most other birds of prey / raptors that you're going to see at zoos, is here for a very specific reason. A lot of other animals, as I mentioned before, with a jaguar, with our SSP, are kind of traded around other zoos, and that's how we have them. But she is a bit of a different story along with most other birds of prey, and that's because, as you can see looking at her, she has a pretty visible wing injury. And basically, what has happened is at a young age she had fallen out of the nest and injured her wing, and after going through a rehabilitation process at a clinic, they basically deemed her non-releasable, and that is because she would not be able to survive and do all the things that she needs to do to be a hawk out in her natural range here in Florida. So we took her in here to the zoo, and we are basically providing her a forever home so that she has all those needs that she needs to survive, but also in a manageable aspect. As you can see, she can still kind of like float around and flutter, but she can't sustain like a flight like an actual hawk can. And that's kind of incorporated into her habitat itself. Again, you know, there is a bird in our wild Florida loop called Camilla. She is the crested caracara. If you notice, her habitat is much lower to the ground, and it doesn't really have this kind of verticality, and that's because she really does not have any kind of capabilities to flutter at all like that. So we kind of really take it on a case-by-case basis with our animals in terms of what their abilities are and what they have to deal with. And that's why, you know, she has a little bit more verticality, while Camilla has a much lower perching area. But again, like I said, basically all of these birds of prey that you see at zoos are typically going to be the same story, where they had some kind of injury in their lives, and that is why they're at the zoo. Otherwise, you really wouldn't see them, and that's specifically at AZA accredited facilities like we are. Basically, the AZA, or Association of Zoos and Aquariums, is going to be the governing body that basically dictates, you know, what zoos can and cannot do in terms of if they want to be a part of the association, they have to meet certain standards. And to me, that's really important, because otherwise you get a lot of unreputable facilities that may partake in some not so good practices with their animals, and how they take care of them and how they interact with them. With those tunnels, so again, like I said before, it's all about the choice and control here. So as you can see, they are choosing as they wish to go in different habitats. Our spider monkeys basically operate in what's called a fission fusion society. So throughout the day, they're going to kind of split off from each other, go do their own thing, maybe need a little bit of alone time, or maybe some of them will hang out with others and then they'll split off. But basically throughout the day, they're going to be around each other in different amounts of time. But that is just kind of how spider monkeys be and do. So, but again, having that prehensile tail, basically, you know, instead of having 5 limbs, no, he only has 4, and that's not too bad to ask. But he's doing absolutely great, and is gonna live out his amazing life here, and probably gonna have a really cool story for us to be able to tell, because I also think it's important to understand that animals, whenever they have injuries like this, especially out in the their natural ranges, they don't really ever try to express them, because basically having any kind of like injury, illness, and things like that is going to be a great way to end up on the menu for a predator. So it's really interesting to be able to see how animals undergo, you know, pretty intense injuries like that, and how they are able to basically kind of walk it off. I'm sure if you guys have pets at home, like dogs or cats, I'm sure they've had an injury at points, and you know, sometimes they might whine a little bit, but you never know how bad the extent of that injury is, because they're so good at, you know, keeping that hidden. And it's just a really interesting instinctual behavior that a lot of animals have. And it's a little bit noisy out. But yeah, this is also part of the area that we added during the renovation. So this whole area is basically brand new habitats, only a few years old, designed specifically for these guys.
Well, now that I'm down here, he doesn't want to mess with me.
Come back.
Oh, there you go.
Here he comes, yeah.
Hello! And look, there's the other one out of the water.
As you can see, all those bubbles coming off of his fur like that, his water or his furs. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
His fur is actually hydrophobic, so his outer layer has all these oils on it. They're part of the musculoid family, kind of like weasels and all those other kinds of animals that really typically have that stinky smell to them. They produce all that oils, and those oils basically keep that outer layer nice and dry. And then they have a secondary layer underneath that's basically all nice and soft and fluffy, and it keeps them nice and warm. So that outer layer basically doesn't get wet or very wet at all, and dries off very quickly. And then that under layer stays nice and dry throughout the time and keeps them nice and warm, especially when the temperatures get a little bit cooler.
Okay.
Those are puppers. There he goes. Chris, look. Do you see him? Oh, look at this. I just little leggies. Oh my goodness, I know.
That's almost cool. And as you can see, their whole body is basically completely adapted to live in almost a fully aquatic life. Amazon rainforest works is throughout the year. There's a wet and a dry season. During the wet season, all those waterways and rivers and stuff is going to rise up and basically going to take over a lot of that bottom layer of the rainforest. So typically, this is kind of to represent this nice soft floor that we're standing on, like we're standing in the mud out in the river, where basically it would be about this high of water where the ground would typically be. This whole area will be flooded out, and all these different kinds of animals will be living in here. So we have our red belly pacu, who, even though they're called that, ours don't really have red bellies. Right. Looking at them, I'm sure you guys can tell they look a lot like a different kind of fish, a piranha, but they have really no relation. They actually have some really interesting teeth as well. They have basically their whole mouth, and I highly suggest you look it up, or you can even put it in your video if you want. But if you look up their pacu mouth, their whole mouth looks like they have molars, like our molars in the back of our mouth. That's what their whole mouth looks like, and it looks kind of like one of those really jarring kind of weird things where it's just like, that doesn't look right. It's like some kind of animal or something. But that's because they are basically going to be eating a lot of seeds, and they use those teeth to basically crack open those seeds and eat them. They're really important seed distributors out in the Amazon. And then we have our Arapaima over there.
That's the one that scares me.
For good reason, I would be scared of them as well. These guys are a very, not necessarily ancient kind of fish, but a really interesting kind because of a lot of the strange adaptations they have living out in the Amazon. It's a very low oxygen environment in the water, so these guys have actually adapted to be able to have basically a protolung, and they actually will come to the surface to breathe oxygen. Another really kind of scary thing about these guys is they have definitely been documented on doing some quite serious injuries to people. Can't really see it too well because where he's hiding right now, but these guys, their whole skull is just made out of bone. They don't have like how other fish have kind of like an actual movable head. It's just a big solid piece of bone. And basically what these guys are going to do, if you guys get a chance to see it at all, we do a feeding session with these guys, and they are as quick as it can be, and they are so fast and so strong. They have been documented and basically not necessarily attacking people, but charging at people and breaking their whole sternum and then their chest, which is quite a bout of force to be able to break all the bones in your chest as a fish.
Yeah, I was about to say, for a fish, that's crazy.
Exactly, and that is, again, they're very, very interesting. And so he's not even full grown yet. He has a lot more growing to do. He probably grow another 2-3 feet, and that probably isn't even all the way yet.
When River Monsters was in South America, it was basically wasn't the Arapaima.
Yep. He basically caught. I know he caught basically every single kind of river monster in the whole world, and yeah, he definitely did one with the Arapaima. There's a lot of really interesting large freshwater fish that live out in the Amazon River, just because of all the unique challenges and aspects to the river itself. itself out there. So we got a lot of really interesting fish that do a lot of things that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
You want a fish?
Like I said, with the Pacu, you really don't see fish with human teeth too often.
Yeah, interesting.
Our smaller zoo, as you can see, we don't have, Martha right here. She's our North American alligator. As we mentioned before, we got our 2 crocodiles on the other side, and we have Mr. Toothless over there in that corner. These guys are a pair. Both alligators and the crocodiles here will lay nest basically every year, but we are not looking to have any babies.
Right.
So basically, we'll go in there and we'll pull the eggs out and basically in a ethical way euthanize them so that they are no longer viable. And depending on the animal, we'll leave either the nest there or put fake eggs in there. But this is all just to promote those natural behaviors so that they still feel like they're doing their, natural breeding procedures. But again, at the end of the day, it would not be very pretty if we had a bunch of little small crocodiles and alligators swimming through here, because our habitats are just specifically not designed for little babies that can swim through the gaps and the barriers. And these guys are also, both species are going to be not carnivorous, cannibalistic to their offspring. So basically, with the size of this habitat, if there's little babies around, not for long.
They eat the babies.
Yep, so these are our 2 bald eagles, Kane and Crowbar, kind of like I was talking about with Jezebel, our hawk, and then Camilla, our Caracara. They both have injuries, kind of like our keepers describing over there. One of them has an injury to one of their feet. They're actually eating right now too, which is pretty interesting. And the other one was actually shot and has an injury to its wing. So they both were deemed non-releasable and brought us over into our care here.
So vultures are...
We are able to provide with them that mental, basically well-being that they are, again, doing those natural behaviors, and we're not taking that away from them. When they flap like that, what are they doing? So, depends on, like I said, one of them has a wing injury, so the one over on the right side has that wing injury, so might be stretching it out, but also, readjusting the feathers and just kind of overall stretching, just like, sometimes stretch their backs out. It's kind of the same thing, that... Oh, cool. Now you know what eagle sounds like. Mm-hmm. But that isn't their full call either. There it is. How intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So that is exactly why they get the clip pasted over them during movies and stuff.
Yeah, I can see why.
But again, all of our animals have really close relationships with their keepers. They spend a lot of time getting to know each other, and that's why we got pretty lucky to not only see them doing a little bit of feeding, but see how they are interacting with their keepers and are really inquisitory and just kind of like, what's going on? Because they know one of the keepers is newer, so they're probably like, who's that? But the other one, they definitely know. So it's really awesome to be able to have that ability to form a relationship with these amazing animals and really get to know them on that deep, intimate level.
Yeah.
Zoo, we got Betty, Birdie, and Cheyenne.
There's 2 in there?
And we got it's like
Oh, yeah, here.
I'll have to do that.
giving us the glory shot.
They don't want anything to do with me.
I see exactly. Not unless I've got good cargo. I like that.
Keep it in your pocket.
The same kind of story that we were having with the birds of prey that we were talking about. They all were basically either had some kind of injury, they were abandoned by their parents, or they were deemed what is called a nuisance bear. So basically, this is Cheyenne, and she was deemed a nuisance bear. So what that means is basically people were actually actively feeding her, and that has basically caused, whenever you feed, that's why, if you ever buy water in Florida, it says don't feed the alligators, that kind of stuff, and that's because by giving these animals food, you're basically allowing them to start associating mentally these tall things with 2 legs with these lanky arms and stuff. They're like a food machine.
Yeah.
So if we see them, we're gonna come up to them and expect food. And when you're an animal like an alligator or a bear, that's probably not the best thing, because not everyone knows how to act around an animal like this that is approaching them. especially, you know, if you're a young kid or something like that, it's potentially very dangerous. So that's why she is under our care, because unfortunately, once a bear is deemed a nuisance bear in terms of being fed by someone or having too much human association with positive rewards, the only thing that can be done is either having her in a rehab facility for the rest of her life, or at a zoo, or unfortunately euthanasia. So that's what happens to a lot of these bears, is unfortunately they get euthanized because it's deemed too big of a risk to have them out, because they're just going to keep associating humans with food and going back to the human areas. And again, dogs, pets, kids, all those kinds of things, while black bears are very much not aggressive during breeding season, and especially when they have cubs, they can definitely get a little bit more protective. And looking at these guys, you just saw how big its paws are. It has pretty sizable claws, and even though they're omnivorous, they do have a pretty sizable chomper, a set of chompers in their mouth as well. So it's just one of those things where it's unfortunate. I wish we never had her here, but I'm glad that she is here now and is going to live out the rest of her life here. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just really important for us to be able to educate people why, you know, it is bad, because it's like, oh, it's so cute, get a nice little YouTube video of you feeding, or TikTok or whatever, and Snapchat. But at the end of the day, you're basically sentencing that animal to die, which is, you know, as someone who loves animals, not a lot of fun.
No, not at all. Shout out to this guy, Alec. Greatest tour guide ever.
Oh, thank you guys. Too kind.
Alright, finished the tour. Now we're gonna go try to check out some lions.
It's $12.50.
Make the most of my ticket purchase. Mufasa. Say it again. Mufasa. Long live the king. And we got some of the giraffes.
One of the giraffes, Doc, passed away not too long ago.
Oh, I think, yeah, I remember hearing about that. I think it was like on Facebook.
I got footage of him when he was alive, so I shared that out when he passed away.
Oh, that's cool.
What's so slow?
Looks like it's feeding time.
Do you know Jeffrey?
I was thinking Toys R Us too. That's funny. Well, so it's not just me then, so I feel a lot better. What's up, bud? All right, we've completed it, and this is where me and Bigle Travels part ways. So subscribe to Bigle Travels. I'll put the link in the comments. All right, well, back in the car. It looks like this is going to conclude episode 31. Yeah, it was really cool to do a little collab with Bigle Travels. If you go look him up, like I said, I'm gonna put the his link in the comments. Check him out. He's a really super cool guy. Also, shout out to Alec, our tour guide. Also super killer guy, man. Couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been more informative. Like, absolute perfect tour guide, especially for my videos. So yeah, man, with that being said, like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and I am out of here. Peace.